this video, I just wanted to break down how it is working with us. This is for brands that are thinking of working with us, even hopping on a call. I should be super transparent where we're currently at. It is November 21st, 2025, so right before Black Friday, which is pretty awesome. But yeah, so here's how we work. So here's how it is working with us. Basically, the first process is essentially giving you guys the onboarding, right? So the most important thing is getting an understanding of your brand. We want to make sure that when we're making the emails, we know who the founder is, what are the most important things you want us to display in the emails, and just get a really good understanding, right? If you're, selling predominantly on, direct to consumer, then we want to make sure that the emails are angled in one certain way. If you're, a huge retail brand and you're just starting out with your D2C side, direct to consumer, then obviously things are going to be done a little different. But first part of it is just understanding more about your brand, who you guys are, where you started, where you're currently at, and just getting an understanding of that. Once we do that, kind of the specifics of that, we'll get your Klaviyo account set up, or your OmniSend account, Klaviyo, Bytespeed, whatever the case is, the email service provider, aka the platform that you send emails out on. If you don't have one already, we'll set it up with you guys. We always recommend using Klaviyo, but that's our prerogative. And then, so we'll set up your Klaviyo account. We'll create the Figma file. Now, Figma file is very, very basic. All it pretty much is a collage of emails that we're going to be putting for you guys. So that's where all the work is going to be, all the emails are going to be. That's where all the comments and all the revisions are going to be made. And it's pretty much the domain where we host the emails. Once we have your Figma file set up, then we'll start the actual creation of the email process. Now, I'm pretty open about this. We have two different offers. We have a flow rebuild, and within that we have different tiers. But we have a flow rebuild where we come in, we build out 30 to 40 different emails for your brand, or we'll do a month-on-month campaign management, right? And that's different. That's where we send out anywhere from 10 to 15 emails a month, depending on your brand, and pretty much just send them out on your behalf. Now, they generally work the same way, to be very transparent, but there's a few nuances. I'll just try to say it as straightforward as possible. So whether it's a flow rebuild or a campaign management, what we're gonna do next is create, the content calendar. Now, you might be a little confused. Why would you make a calendar for our flows? That's just going to be a one and done thing. That's mainly just for us to give you an expectation of when the emails are going to be set up. So for example, if we're going to do a full flow rebuild that has 30 to 40 different emails, and we're doing, your abandonment flows, your welcome flow, your, sunset and retention flows, all those flows, then we're going to set up a calendar that says, hey, on this week, these are the emails we're going to set up. On the next week, these are the emails we're going to set up. On the next week, these are the emails we're going to set up. That's the plan. On campaign management, that's a little bit more nuanced. Basically, what that consists of is saying, okay, and we have an AI, I have videos you could check out of literally how we actually do it. But we basically just say, let's learn everything we can about the brand. We do a deep search. We do a deep dive on the brand itself, learn everything, because you can only get so much on the call. We want to know the articles you've been, part of, the places you've been featured. Are you in Michelin star restaurants if you're like a food and beverage brand, or like an apparatus or something like that? Have you been on, Shark Tank? Have you just really the nitty gritty of each brand? We'll do a deep dive on the brand, figure out how we're going to move, what the biggest, I would say unique selling points is the best way to put it, of your brand is. Once we have all that information, then we're going to create the calendar for the next month based on that info. So for example, if you are a makeup brand and you just made it on like Shark Tank, for example, we're gonna say, okay, for the first week right after the Shark Tank appearance, we're gonna make 3 different emails back to back to back about the Shark Tank appearance. The rest of the emails will promote a little bit of the Shark Tank, and then we'll kind of taper off and fade out at the end of the month, going back to just value. But then we're also going to include maybe some Thanksgiving emails for Thanksgiving, some Black Friday emails for Black Friday, and then we also want to give value for the majority of the month. So we're going to set it up with this routine email. We're going to make an email about an us versus them comparison. We're going to make a founder email to introduce new subscribers that came from Shark Tank to the brand. It's a whole strategy. We're going to set that up. That's done on a Gamma file. By the time you're watching this, it may be different, but as of now, we do it on a Gamma file. We send it over to you, get it approved. We usually hop on a call unless you want us to be super hands-on and you're super hands-off. We'll typically, especially for the first month, it's very common. But we'll hop on a call with you, get all the nitty-gritty of the details, any revisions, any changes. Once we have the calendar set up, now I'm kind of transitioning more to the both ends of the spectrum for both flow rebuilds and campaign management. Once we have that set up, then we're starting the process. Now that's really a 3-step process. First off is just getting the email topics, which is part of the last thing I just said, so part of the calendar. Then is the email copy. We get the copy ready, we have everything set up, and then we also base it off previous emails of our best performers. And then lastly is the design aspect. After we do those 3 things, we get the topic, we write the copy, and we make the design. Then we have internal revisions that we go through. So either me, or I'll do it, or account manager Diego. By the time you're watching this, probably more account managers. But we'll have a team of people who revise the email, make sure it looks good and it looks great, everything's polished. Once that goes through, then we'll send it over for you to revise. Now, if you're a brand that wants to be super hands-off, we still will ask you to do it for the very first month, just because, those basic revisions that you want us to understand. Hey, we really don't like using this color here. We prefer giving, we want to make sure we angle it this way. I know what you're trying to say here. Don't say it like this because it kind of rubs our customers the wrong way. Make sure you have it, make sure the angle is this way. That first month is really, really crucial for us to get a very good understanding about the brand. But once we do that, after that point, we'll make the revisions. You'll make a final review, get everything set up. After that point, for context, unless we start off in a weird place of the month, you'll have the emails at least 30 days in advance. So for example, today's the November 21st. If we were to onboard you, this takes about a week in all. So if we onboarded you on the 16, let's just say the 14th of the month. Yeah, 14th of the month, the November 14th. By the 21st, at this point, you're going to have all the emails up into the near December, going into January. You're going to have all the emails set up because we work like that. We want to have everything 30 days in advance as of now. Once we have that set up, then our job is just to track, manage, and adjust the emails. So as an example, we mix in the first email out and it does really, really good. Blows the campaign out the water. The previous campaign's out of the water. The second campaign, it's a little different, doesn't do as well. The third one does a lot better. The fourth one, we notice it gets a really crappy, open rate. You get people responding to you. We hate this email, blah, blah, blah. At that point, we'll make revisions. So we know, because we're tracking the data, we're tracking the emails. This is the time where we fully understand and grasp the emails. At that point, we'll make adjustments. Simple as that. Then that'll go on until, usually we do it on the 15th of every month. But again, it could change. I don't want to go to the specifics. Then we'll just start setting everything up for the next month, and we'll keep going like that. That's for the campaigns. If it's the flow rebuilds, pretty much we'll have a process where we do that same 3-step process. We get the email topics. The email topics are the specific emails we'll use for your brand. So for example, within a welcome flow, you may have the welcome email, a founder email, a unique selling point email, a social proof email, and then kind of like a sales-based email, which is like a final, like, hey, your discount's about to run out or go off. It's about to expire. Once we go through that end, once we figured out what specific emails we're going to use for the flow, then we go into the copy, and then finally we make the designs. And at that point, it's the same thing. Internal revisions, we give it to you, and then usually that end will take a lot more revisions on your end, just because it is a full flow rebuild or a starter flow rebuild. It depends, but if it is a flow rebuild, you're going to want to make sure that the designs are just perfect on the spot. They're exactly how you want them to be, because once we set them up, that's pretty much it, unless we work on a campaign management, then that comes with it. But yeah, that's pretty much how it works. And then at that point, if we don't transition to a campaign management, that pretty much after the full flow rebuild, we'll go into a campaign management and start managing your emails month after month and month. It's not obligated or anything. You could say no, but typically that's the natural process that happens. And that's pretty much it. As far as like kind of who you'd be working with, it is founder led. So I am the person, auditing the account, making sure that everything looks nice and neat. Also, jumping at times, making the copy. Just depends on kind of the workload we have. If not, you're going to be responding to one of our account managers as well as your personal designer. You're not really going to be speaking to them much, not because we don't want you to. You can. Just there's really no need. Especially the copy aspect. That's mainly us. And that's pretty much it. That's working with IX Media. A few details, we have a Slack channel. Everything will be done within a Slack channel. Monday.com, but that's really internal. You're not going to be using that. Figma, as I mentioned, end of week reports. So we'll send you, end of week report saying, here's, how much money this campaign made, how much this campaign made. Here's how much the full flow rebuild did in the month of October, or in the last week. Kind of give you in the specs, and then day-to-day updates. For example, if we need a code, if we need anything like that, then we'll set it up with you. Sometimes we'll ask for Shopify access if it's something that's going to require a lot of work. Perfect example, it's Black Friday. We don't want to keep bugging you for codes every single day. If we both agree these are the codes that are going to be needed to be done, we just need to actually create them. We'll usually ask Shopify access. If not, it's not a problem, but it just makes it easier on your end. Pretty much it. I wish I could just give more details, but that's what a call is for, just to be very honest with you. And again, the last thing I'll say, if you're watching this before you book a call with us, I'm very, very transparent. I'll tell you everything about specifically what we do, how we do it, that kind of the process that we take for your brand specifically. I am going to be the person speaking with you, if not somebody else. We are going to ask a lot of questions about the brand. The reason for this is because we can't help you if we don't know where you're at. Simple as that. There have been times where we come in a brand, we don't want to offend anybody or not ask questions because we don't want to impose. And then, hooray, 5 days later, we realize that they're barely a D2C brand. They're mainly focused on retail, and we just can't help them out. At that point, they already paid, and we already, have an obligation to service them. And it's a very nasty process. That's why we ask a lot of questions in the beginning. Nothing personal or anything like that. Just really just where the brand is at, where you guys are emails, kind of auditing your account, just getting a good understanding of where you're at now, which helps us determine if working with each other is actually going to make sense. So if we ask a lot of questions, it's not because we're trying to be nosy. It's just really trying to see if we could help. That's about it. If you have any questions, feel free to book a time on the calendar below. We'll be happy to continue the conversation then. And if not, God bless you guys. All love. May Jesus Christ enter your life. And I love you guys. All right. See you guys. Bye.